Welcome to SheBoss. To say I am over the moon excited about this interview is definitely an understatement. I have been wanting Toni Eberhart to join SheBoss for quite some time for a variety of different reasons, and we've talked about it for a very long time. But I'm so glad that it is finally happening. So
I know.
thank you
I'm
so
excited
much
to
for
be
being
here.
here.
And nervous to be interviewed by a friend a little bit.
Like, I don't know what that's
It's just
about.
different. I don't know.
It's because we have these big mics in our face.
Maybe.
I know. But thank you so much. I know your schedule is hectic and mom of 3 and just doing all of the things right now. So I really appreciate you carving out some time. And we'll make sure we stay on time because you've got something you got to get to right after this. So a lot of people in our North Alabama community know you very well through a variety of different reasons, whether it be through nonprofit work or helping, our startup and entrepreneur community through things like Urban Engine and stuff like that. I know you obviously for many, many reasons, but give us a little bit of a background on kind of where you're from and what brought you to Huntsville, and then we'll kind of dive into what keeps you busy today.
Sure. I moved to Huntsville in 2012 to follow my now husband, Chad. He was at UAH for grad school. He got a master's and a PhD there. We grew up in the same small-ish town in Pennsylvania. And once he was in grad school, we started dating, and I followed him down here from Philadelphia, where I was studying undergrad at Drexel University, and started to work at the Army Recruiting Brigade on the Arsenal. That's where we met.
Shout out to all of our old Army friends too, Kim.
The OGs.
Yeah.
And within a couple years, I transitioned into working in the commercial technology and startup space. That's, again, where our paths crossed. And then got really passionate about community building and trying to help entrepreneurs and startups in our community find a way to succeed through connection to community, but also programs and resources that were needed. And now I am back in the government world working at Booz Allen.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Kind of come full circle a little bit.
I
Yeah.
know. Well, it's definitely a never say never scenario.
Mm-hmm.
During the time that I was running Urban Engine, I was really an advocate for not everybody wants to work as a government contractor.
Yeah.
And so never say never, because here I am. But I will say I find fulfillment and purpose and passion in the work that I do, and they're not all created equally. So I'm very grateful to be where I am right now.
Yeah, and Booz Allen has such a great reputation and is so well known for a variety of different things. But what is your sort of day-to-day role with Booz today? What are you doing?
I provide management and consulting support for clients in our aerospace market. I also manage a small team of rockstar women, and that really gets me excited every day to go and make sure that they're mentored and that they have someone developing their career for them, advocating for them. And I also get to spend a little bit of time in the community representing Booz Allen, talking about our technology solutions. But mostly I'm spending my time serving our clients.
Yeah, that's exciting. So a lot of what you've become known for, and definitely a passion of yours, has been that startup world and entrepreneur community and making sure that people have the resources that they need. So I'd be curious to kind of hear where you sort of got bit by that bug. When we met at the recruiting brigade, I mean, you were very specific on kind of public affairs and kind of following that track, and life had different plans for you at that time, right? So what sort of got you into that field?
That's kind of a easy question to answer and a hard question to answer because I ask myself that. Why am I so passionate about helping entrepreneurs? Because it's a thing I can't turn off at this point. I do tell people that throughout my career, the common thread has been strategic communications, messaging, branding, and helping individuals or businesses grow. The majority of my career, really, even since I just graduated from college, that's what I've been doing with consistency as a technical skill set. The harder part of that to answer is that I've always been this way. Even whenever I was in college, I was routinely finding myself, in addition to the jobs that I worked to be able to support myself, pay for my apartment, pay for my life that I had outside of school, living in Philadelphia, I find myself routinely looking for ways that I could help small businesses with their strategies. I took a bunch of unpaid internships just to have exposure into how are you trying to grow and how can I help you?
Yeah.
Because I realized that that's the kind of experience that was going to help me grow as a professional rather than show up and get administrative exposure to how businesses use their employees from day to day.
Yeah. Can I ask, did you have someone in your life that kind of nudged you to take those unpaid internships and be open-minded to those experiences? Because I don't think that's something that a lot of people have that natural inclination to do. Do you know what I mean?
I have no idea where I got the idea.
Okay.
My dad was a really hard worker. Like that's really...
You saw his value.
Yeah. I mean, he had a really strong work ethic and always encouraged me to put myself out there. Drexel's program is a co-op program, so you're encouraged to work and have new opportunities and experiences all the time. But again, like, I don't know why I am this way.
Yeah.
I just am. And a revelation I had within the last 2 to 3 years was reading my mom's dad's obituary. My mom didn't know her dad. Okay, so this got sent to me from a relative that I don't see very often, just to say, hey, you know, this person that you are biologically related to has passed away. Here's his obituary. And I read it and learned that he was someone who helped entrepreneurs and was an innovator and like was known for throughout his career doing these things and helping innovative programs. And I sat there and I went, so it's in my DNA.
Yeah.
But I had no idea until, my mom has passed away. I never knew him. My grandmother has passed away. So it was a really strange moment where I realized you can't turn this off because it is a part of who you are and it was a part of who you were going to be.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Was there any particular companies or industries that he kind of specialized in, or did he have like a shtick?
No, he was my grandfather. He had served for a time, but everyone had to serve their time for people that were his age when he was young. It didn't have any details about where or how that I can recall right now to share, but it was a part of who he was described as.
Amazing. Yeah, that's really fascinating. Yeah. I know. I'm like, that does explain a lot.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. I love it. Well, talk a little bit about, that kind of gumption. I want to stay there on the unpaid internship component, only because, and just the experience in that capacity, because fortunately with this, there's a lot of young students and younger people in their career that we talk to as well, right? And we go and we're heavily involved with UAH and do a lot of things with them, and super pumped to be part of their advisory board that they just launched, their inaugural marketing board. So there's a lot of cool things happening over there, and they're recognizing the need to just really push a different type of approach to students to really get some of that exposure. So talk a little bit about that aspect of things, because I think there's a lot of, hey, I need to do an internship in a field that I know I'm passionate about versus maybe trying something I don't have a lot of experience in where maybe I can learn something new, right? Mm-hmm. And then paid versus unpaid, right? Like, would love any perspective you have on that, just from an employer perspective too, right? And like you've worked at Mazda Toyota, you've worked at a lot of these big companies. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Today, Toni does not love the idea of an unpaid internship, okay? My advice and what I would recommend to employers who are looking for motivated, curious, hardworking people is they should be rewarded, whether they're willing to do the work unpaid or not. That's how I feel about it. Mm-hmm. Me, as a younger person, seeing how hard my dad worked to provide for my family, I knew that there was a relationship between laboring and earning something. And I also knew that I had responsibilities that I needed to be accountable for. So, I had a lifestyle that I wanted to live, mm-hmm. all right, that my parents were not willing to pay for, honestly. And it wasn't for any other reason than they had already given me the gift of being able to go to school and helping me along the way so that I could go to a really great school. So anything beyond that, if I wanted to go out and party and wear cute clothes and buy fancy makeup and have a nicer apartment, mm-hmm. okay, than what otherwise would have been afforded, I knew that that was something that I was going to earn. it might surprise some people to know that most of the jobs where you can earn money as a college student are like in restaurants. Okay. So at times I worked multiple jobs during college. I would go to my classes, of course, had to make good grades, but I would have one or two jobs, maybe working one like student worker job for the school, and then also being a hostess or a barista at a coffee shop. But that's not what I wanted to do when I grew up. So I wanted to, at the same time, at least get some exposure early on to what I was learning about in class. So I would seek out, and this is back when Craigslist was like really big. I would go on Craigslist and I would look up unpaid internships where they would say something like, yeah, we need a brand, right? And I'm like, I know what a brand is because I learned about it last week. Right? And then I would go want to build a brand for someone. But the reality is small businesses, a lot of times, even if they're in Philadelphia where you think metropolitan area, small business owner, all the resources in the world, right? These people are just bored. Not the case. Yeah. And in some instances, when they're asking for something, they may not even know what they really need. So investing in something feels more scary.
Yeah.
So there is one particular internship I can remember. It was a wine accessories shop in PA, and I helped with their branding and marketing strategy as they were opening their doors, and they wanted to kind of be the go-to place for luxury wine drinking accessories. Okay, it was really, really cool. I got to be a part of their events that they would do for the community and just had some exposure to how that all worked together. And then later, after graduation, another unpaid internship that I can remember. This was after I had graduated, and I was working for the federal government as a civil servant at the Social Security Administration. They were paying everybody really good overtime. I was driving $6.95 for 45 minutes each way through 695 traffic from like 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. every single day, 5 days a week. And I would come home and I would clock in on that unpaid internship to help them build their digital presence for a technology company. And I didn't know it was a startup at the time. Yeah. I just knew that I wanted to be a part of what they were trying to do to disrupt the market that they were in. And those experiences really gave me a foot in the door for later on to be able to speak to, not only am I someone who's willing to work hard, but I'm also someone who has at least some experience, something I can show for how what I'm able to do is relevant to what you need.
Yeah. And you love that. You
yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you run a marketing agency, helping someone like click where they want to go and what they need to say to get there is like dopamine hit city.
Yeah. Well, you're bringing a voice to something that they've probably struggled with for so long, right?
Yeah.
And with an unbiased perspective, I mean, you can just bring so much value to that. And that, I think that passion, I'm sure, sort of followed you throughout your career of like helping other businesses grow and thrive. And, so let's switch gears a little bit, talk a little bit about the ecosystem here in Huntsville. We have talked, the common thread on these interviews has been how amazing this community is in so many ways. And I don't ever want to move to another place because I feel like we've gotten spoiled.
Where would you go?
Where would you go and why, with the exception of avoiding tornadoes? But we'd love to just hear a little bit about that. And, you've done so much in this community. And I do want to talk about Urban Engine because I think Urban Engine still to this day holds such a special place in this community. And I was fortunate enough to be right next to you alongside.
You were the person helping me say what I needed to say.
And that was, I love that. I love that for us because I love that we've been able to share in that personal experience and professional experience too, where we can look back and kind of say, oh gosh, what was, what I mean? But just talk a little bit about the ecosystem here and kind of what you've seen and what's available out there. And there's a lot of organizations and individuals who retire here out of the military and get in consulting, and then they start a commercial business, and these things are starting. So what sort of resources are there? What's going on? What do you see?
Oh my, I would say it's better than it ever has been before, at least in I can always remember how long I've been professionally engaged in the entrepreneurial ecosystem by how old Claire is, my daughter.
Yes, that's right, because you were pregnant with her during
when I was
night.
making the switch to do it full time.
Yeah.
So Claire is 8. She will be 9 this year. So in the almost 10 years that I've been doing this, it has never been better. There has never, in my opinion, been a better time to be an entrepreneur or a startup in Huntsville, a startup in Alabama. And I would attribute that to a couple things. The first is we have amazing leaders in institutional roles that are collaborative, open-minded, and just like very good people. It's not to say that that hasn't always been the case, but there's renewed energy because there has been some turnover in some of those roles, and the willingness to be open-minded and collaborate with others and think big picture, yet also roll the sleeves up and get to work together. Or like, to use another analogy, everybody's in the same boat, rowing in the same direction at the same time. We're going faster. We're doing more together than we ever have. It's so rewarding to see. And it's been amazing to see how much we've been able to do in a few short years because of that change. And then the other big thing that has been introduced to Alabama as a whole is Innovate Alabama. When I was working on Urban Engine full time, the landscape for support and resources for organizations that were doing the work that Urban Engine was doing really didn't exist, at least not in the same capacity that Innovate Alabama has introduced. The state of Alabama is seeing value. They are investing through that public-private partnership. And what I've described as happening in North Alabama, we're seeing happen throughout the state. And it's so exciting. We're seeing more investment in companies than we ever have before. And I would just say it's so rewarding as somebody who cares about the viability for innovators and startups to really have that material support in place in a sustainable way. It gives me the confidence to say, yeah, if you come here, you can do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. What do some of those pathways look like? Is it through mentorship? Is it through funding? Is it through, what sort of
I'm not going to say that there's nothing we could do. I won't say that it's perfect or that there aren't still areas for opportunity to grow. But I think what you need, you can find it here. If you need a mentor, there's probably someone here that you can connect to, and there's a mechanism, an organization that can get you to them, whether that's EDPA, Launchpad, it's the Catalyst, it's the Chamber. This could very quickly turn into an hour of me talking about all of the great programs, resources, and people. Yeah. But I would just say, if you need mentorship, if you need coaching, if you need investors, if you need to go through an accelerator, it's all here. And the people that are involved are great, and they care, and they're collaborative. So whatever that next challenge is that you're going to encounter, there's going to be a handoff there to get you to where you need to go. In terms of things we can work on, it's not a secret that we still need investors. We still need capital. We're working on that as a state, as a community. I think we'll see things change, hopefully sooner rather than later. But it is something that needs to be addressed, because the better we can be at infusing the right kind of capital at the right time for startups in our community, the more likely we will see that ecosystem flourish.
Yeah, love that. Hold on one second. That was a perfect stopping point. You're so well spoken. It's like you're in communications or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask another question. All right, so to continue that, I'm curious, what do you see as the most opportunity for which types of startups do you think have the most opportunity here? I think there's not a cloud in a negative way, but obviously we have a huge influence here from the military and Redstone Arsenal and the Department of Defense. There's a big biotech, focus here as well. And there's a lot of other pockets of these things that are just growing like crazy. What are you kind of seeing, as far as maybe some of those hot pockets that are either have grown significantly over the last year to 2 years, or have potential to thrive based on city resources and whatnot?
Hudson Alpha is like a 500-pound gorilla right? Like you can't forget that it's there, but it's really easy once you've seen it enough times just to walk past it. And so advocating for more biotech here and really fostering that sub-ecosystem within the landscape, I mean, I think we've only scratched the surface of what we're going to see Hudson Alpha do for biotech in Alabama, in North Alabama. So I think that's going to continue to grow. The other one that I'm really excited about is the Defense Tech Accelerator. So like you said, we've got a lot of military folks. We have a huge defense industry, government industry here. If I can say it's less sexy, it's less sexy, but there's huge opportunity there.
Yep.
And we're finally putting programs and resources in place for people who have an idea to actually get going.
Yeah.
So,
Which is so, I mean, you see that everywhere here.
yeah.
Because you've got a lot of these bigger defense companies, or I mean, they grow, right? And then they sell, and someone steps away, and they've got an idea, and they don't know how to commercialize it, or they don't, it seems like that happens pretty often, right?
Yes, and Huntsville has a little bit of a reputation for already succeeding in this area, but I think what the Defense Tech Accelerator is positioned to do is actually help the generation of products and technical solutions go to market and also then be commercialized in different ways. Yeah. And what we can see come out of that is wealth generation, higher paying jobs. It's going to look a little bit different than a government services engineering firm, which is what we have seen more. And it's not to discount how innovative and important those businesses are, not just to our local economy, but also to the innovation ecosystem. But there's a nuance there that I think the Defense Tech Accelerator can really help build and grow. And I'm real excited about it.
Yeah, that's very exciting. Was that the one that Toni was part of too? Toni?
Yes.
Got to give a shout out to Toni Hodgson. He's the best.
Yes.
I try to explain.
They're really doing cool stuff over there,
They
Ether.
are doing cool stuff over there. And he's still heavily involved in the museum, right?
Their technology is live in the museum.
That's pretty awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. So shout out to Toni Hodgson and Ether. They're doing some awesome things. His nickname for me at Synapse was Ray Ray, because he just always felt, he was like a ray of sunshine. He always had that big smile on his face.
Yeah.
And so every time I see him, I'm like, Ray.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, anyway,
okay,
so
I'm adopting that.
But right? Like if you know Toni, you know him to be that person.
He is that
and
way.
He's just like absolutely delightful in so many ways. Okay, so let's switch gears just a little bit. So I think, you are no stranger to sharing your life on social media, and all of us get to just live vicariously through your 3 beautiful children and your rocket scientist husband. I mean, your family is like the epitome of Huntsville, which I just love so much. But they're just adorable, and Vincent, Francis, and Claire will rule the world in some capacity one day. She is this fitting image of you, and just such a firehouse, which I just love so much. But what's it like doing the thing and having 3 kids who are little and all under the age of 10, right?
Yeah. 10 and under.
Yeah. So Francis he's
10.
He's 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Whew, yeah, I got it. I'm like him and Jack. Yeah. So how do you do it? And I mean, it's challenging and it's hard. And so just what has it been like being a working mom? And
I mean, it's hard. I'm not going to, how to answer. I don't really know how to answer that question because it's the existence. It's how to exist. I have 3 kids. They're the loves of my life. And I am so grateful that they are my priority right now. Really am. I'm passionate about my career, and I've always been ambitious. I've always wanted to excel the things that were important to me, but they're the most important thing to me. And excelling as their mom it's something that I strive to do every single day. I try to get a little bit better at every single day. And now I really see my career and my growth as a person as more of a service to who they can be, especially while they're this young. And doing life with Chad too has been super rewarding because I think he thinks the same way. And marriage is also hard, but we're partners and we both feel the same way about that. So I'm just fighting for my life every day. Trying to make sure I do a good job. I would tell a friend, you're doing a great job because you care, you know?
Yeah.
Right? It's if you don't care is whenever you start to backslide there.
Right.
But I care so much about every little thing. So we'll
Yeah.
see how it works out.
What are some of your mom hacks that you have mastered that have really helped you?
Okay. I'm not saying everybody has like all the money in the world to do everything that they would like to have done for them. But if you have enough money to pay someone to clean your house.
Oh, yes.
Pay someone to clean your house.
Yeah.
Like you do not need to have a full-time job, have 3 little kids, and also have the job of cleaning your house.
And have Carl.
And Carl, for
The
heaven's
dog.
sake. Yeah, I mean, he's
Carl Winslow.
he's
I
a
mean, you
mess,
can't-
right?
Yeah.
So I would say, and if it's not that, like where else can you find help? Can you order your groceries? Can you delegate the task of writing everything down on the calendar to your oldest or to your partner? You don't have to do every little thing. Outsource, pay for people to do things. Take the easy route for whatever it is. It's not anything to be ashamed about. You're freeing up time and capacity for the things that are actually important, like spending time with your kids or getting that project at work done that's going to help you really shine. And I mean, it was like a light bulb went off when I found out I was pregnant with Vincent. I was like, I'm not cleaning anymore.
That's just the decision you
We're
made.
having a 3rd child and I'm not cleaning anymore.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. Yeah, that's just, it is what it is.
Hit the easy button where you can.
Yeah, I love that. I'm all about the mom hacks, all about it. Okay. So also want to talk to you about something a little bit more personal. We're going to switch gears just a little bit. And, you know, there is no easy time to have this conversation, but, you know, as we were kind of talking about offline, you have become such an influential force in this community to so many people and for so many reasons, in so many ways, whether that is helping to mentor, young startups and entrepreneurs, or mentor other women, or consult on innovation strategies, and I mean, just do all sorts of different things. And so people look up to you for a variety of reasons because of who you are and your character and the work that you do and the work that you choose to do. And you recently shared that you discovered that you have breast cancer. And that is a heavy, heavy thing to hear. And you called me that morning, and I think I just like the breath came out of my chest because I was like, it's even like feeling that way now.
I was like, Megan, are you sitting down?
I know. I was like, that's never good. And we've talked a lot about, this personal health, here at Flourish, and we've tried to use our company as a vehicle to promote awareness around these things. And you are extremely proactive about your health. And I think, in fact, you and I had a conversation in this very office probably 2 years ago, and you shared with me some things that you were going through. Mm-hmm. And you're younger than I am, and it kind of like kicked my butt into gear a little bit. And I think that might have been what kind of prompted me to go take the path that I took, believe it or not. So you inspired me in a variety of ways. But talk about that and your recent diagnosis and what that means for you. And, not to make this, you were going to overcome this and make this thing your B. There's no doubt about that. Already on your way. But what has that experience been like for you over the past couple of months?
Well, first, I just will acknowledge what you said about like people admiring or respecting whatever, I think, thank you for saying that. It's kind. And just for me, like I always just want to help people. That's like really, if people respect me or admire me for that, like it's something that fills my cup up. It's an honor to be able to help where I can. So that's nice. Thank you. But that's like, I really do it because I care. Mm-hmm. And yeah, like the breast cancer thing, it's a crazy story. I was sitting on the couch with Chad, which, by the way, is already like weird, okay? Because we're always like exhausted at the end of the day. It's like if we have time to sit on the couch together, it's a really great day.
Yeah.
But so we're sitting on the couch together, and I had my hand in my armpit. I know that's weird, okay? But I did. And I'm like, I have a little like ball in my armpit. And I made him come over and touch it. I'm like, hey,
you'll get there soon.
Yeah,
you guys will get there soon.
If you have a significant other, if you have a partner,
like, can you
if
look
something's
at this
weird,
bump on my foot,
right? If something's weird, you're not going through that alone. You're bringing them with you. Come look at this weird thing,
and
all
share
right?
in the weirdness with me.
Yes, that's exactly right.
That is marriage.
And so his response was not that weird. He didn't really think much of it. And so anyway, it didn't go away. But this was in November, and so the holidays had come and gone. It wasn't until January that I had my check-in with my primary care physician, and then I made him look at my weird ball in my armpit too. And he's like, did you change deodorant? You know, he's thinking I had a clogged follicle or something. And I'm like, no, it was very superficial. It was not like deep. And I'm not going to show you or anybody out there where it was, but it's closer. The area that was affected is closer to my bicep than it is to my rib cage. Mm-hmm. So there was no reason to suspect that it even initially would have been breast tissue. Interesting. He advised for me to use a warm compress to kind of break it apart and see if that would help. And also did some blood work just to make sure that there was nothing that popped on that. I honestly don't even have time to sit with my husband on the couch. So I did not think I was going to have time to walk around with a warm compress underneath my arm for 20 minutes a day. That's completely honest. I was also thinking to myself, it's not going away in the shower, which is warm. I don't know if that science is right, but it's the science I was operating off of. Yeah. So I went to go see my dermatologist a couple months later. I said, I have this weird, it was superficial enough that it may have been something she was thinking was associated with my skin. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, she never would have agreed, I don't think, to mess with it. Yeah. But because it was superficial enough, she agreed to remove it since it wasn't going away on its own and it was bothering me. And anytime they take something out, they send it away just to be sure. And a couple weeks later, she called me and we were both shocked and horrified to learn that it came back as breast cancer. And then I went and saw what feels like every doctor in Huntsville. But I will say that's not really true. I called a friend that I know through the kids' school. I know, but I don't know her very well. And I had only heard her say maybe once or twice before she had to call someone that day and let them know they had found breast cancer and that it was her job to schedule appointments for them and take care of that. And I don't have anybody in my family on either side that has ever had cancer of any kind. So I know for some people when they hear something like that, it can be emotional. It can be you're that person or, oh, you do that thing. Mm-hmm. But for me, it was very in one ear, out the other. So why I thought to pick up the phone and call her, but it was literally 10 minutes after I had heard, I called her and I'm like, hey, I'm freaking out right now. I don't even know what your job is, but can you help me? Mm-hmm. And she did. She got me in to see for imaging that same day where she worked. And then an MRI 2 days later. Wow. And it moved so quickly because of community. Yeah. And because I knew the right person to call. I feel so privileged and grateful that I even had that thought in my brain, let alone had that person in my network to be able to reach to. Yeah. But in Huntsville, I think that's more common because of the kind of community that we're in. Mm-hmm. I'm so grateful for that. And that was in March, and we're talking right now in the last week of April. So I've gotten surgery. I've had a lumpectomy with a sentinel node biopsy. Praise God. All of the cancer has been removed from my body. So we're talking right now. I do not have cancer. Everything that happens next will be treatment and preventative care.
Preventative, yeah. Okay. And then it will be behind you. Yeah.
It better be.
It better be.
Yeah.
I know this may seem like a little bit of a cheesy question to ask, but I'm genuinely curious. How has this changed your outlook on things, if at all?
I'm really glad you asked that question. The one thing that has been cemented in me that, look, when somebody tells you you have cancer, like you go to all the places that anyone would go to, right? Am I dying? What if I die? I have 3 small kids. How bad is it? What if they find it someplace else? Mm-hmm. What if they're wrong? Mm-hmm. All the places you can think of. And I can just say, like, it was a shorter amount of time that I needed to wait to get the answers that I have and that I needed. But what crossed my mind is just how secure and happy I am in what I have. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't have, and it's not to say that if someone else has these thoughts or would have these thoughts, they're wrong. But I wasn't thinking to myself any remorse of, I wish I would have traveled more. I wish I would have worked harder at work. It was like, I want to make sure that not 5 minutes are taken from me being with these babies, being where I'm at right now in this physical house in Alabama, of all the places I never thought that I would grow up and call home. I don't want anything to change. I love my life so much.
Yeah.
And what a blessing to have that. It made it scarier to think that any of it could be taken away sooner. But it has been something that has reinforced for me just how lucky I am to feel the way I do about the life I have.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. And there's a reason why people look to you as inspiration and influence because of that right there. So I think that is a perfect note to add on or to kind of end on. So I appreciate you so much and all that you do for our community. And you've got a team of cheerleaders just rallying behind you. You know that. But I love how you have kind of, it's interesting how you look at community being a source of peace for you during this time of need, you know, when you're going through such personal things, which you can tell how, what an important part that is of your life, just in general terms, you know, which is just beautiful to see. So
there is someone who reached out to me that I knew while I was in college that I don't talk to often. And he was offering support and letting me know that he was thinking of me and praying for me. And it had been years since I'd heard from him, but he reached out because I had shared on Facebook what I was going through. And I said, I just want you to know that, like, it really does mean so much to me. Like, I feel so supported and cared for. And he said, that's the beautiful part of going through the hard thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that's a great silver lining to see. Yeah. I love that. Well, thank you, Toni. Thank you so much for sharing your story and for spending some time with us today. This was a beautiful glimpse at just a kind of behind the scenes peek at who you are for those that don't know. So I appreciate you. And we'll see you guys next time.